The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business. From $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Welcome to the Icons of Real Estate. I'm Tim Calloway. We have a very special guest from my neck of the woods, from Southeast Florida in Boca Raton, Marcy Javor, Marcy F. Javor. I apologize. I wanted to say it differently as I said it to you before, and you go, that's not how you say it. This is how you say it. And I go, I got to remember that. I'm going to get it wrong. Marcy F. Javor. And then I ask you, do you want to add the F? See? But Marcy, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, Tim.
Yeah, I'm excited. So you're with Signature One Luxury Estates in Boca Raton.
Correct.
Yeah, nice area for sure. As most of my listeners know, I'm right in that area myself in West Palm Beach. Exciting area. So before we get into, homes and, Boca Raton and all the greatness of Southeast Florida, let me ask you, were you a young lady of 6 or 7 years old just asking your parents how to become a realtor? Or?
Actually, I wasn't a childhood wannabe realtor, but I was a childhood wannabe investor, financial planner, wanted to be in all kinds of, I don't want to be one of those people who say I want to be rich, but I definitely wanted to be, financially sound. And as a matter of fact, as a kid, I wanted to be famous. I wanted to be a singer.
So how did you make that decision to be, okay, let's just be honest. We both live in Southeast Florida. We don't live in Southeast Florida because we wanted to be poor. If you live down here and live reasonably well, you do pretty well. So you got into real estate. You decided real estate was for you. And did you just start by saying, hey, somebody help me out? Or did you just say, I'm gonna go out and do it and I'm gonna cut my teeth?
No, actually, when I was a commodity broker, commodity trader, owned my own commodity firm since I was 18. And then after Too Big to Fail in 2000, 2003,
2008,
5, 8, 7, somewhere around there. The market's it just wasn't a good place to be anymore. I was a commodity trading advisor and everything was going very, very different. Everything went electronic. So Too Big to Fail happened and things were not what they used to be in commodities. And I used to say, if I can't make money in it, nobody can. So I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I kind of fell into real estate. I went to the gas station and I bumped into an old friend of mine from my kids' school. And she was very upset. She was very distraught. And I asked her what was going on. And she said, I'm getting divorced and we're moving and my husband is selling the house and I don't know what to do. And so I sat down and talked to her for a little while and found out after talking to her for a little while that real estate wasn't what I had anticipated it to be. It was more about helping people find their next lives, helping people move to their next situation, whatever that situation may be, because I helped her not just find a home. I helped her find her new life, find her new livelihood with her kids. And whether it's divorce or new home or new marriage or whatever it is, everybody's got their story. And I used to think real estate was just schlepping people around, but that's it, not at all. So as I was helping her find her new home, I got my license because I had my license in 2005 and I re-got it back in 2015 and sold her home and kind of fell into it because I never really anticipated real estate to be just schlep. I anticipated real estate schlepping people around. I didn't want to have anything to do with it because I didn't think that's what I wanted to do, but real estate is so much more.
Oh yeah.
It is so much more. And by showing her where she belonged and how to find her new life and her new home, I actually found a new place to call home in real estate.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I like stories like that because it shows resiliency and fortitude. 2008, you and I have almost identical lives and stories when it comes to that. Obviously away from the personal, but I worked on Wall Street. I was at Bear Stearns. I was, I same thing happened, and I had my own small BD, and things fell apart.
Yeah,
So
everything fell apart.
yeah, everything fell apart, and my life was uprooted. But yeah, so I love hearing stories like that. It resonates with a lot of people. People our age. I mean, the average age of a realtor in the United States is about 55 years old.
Yep,
So
it really is. There's a lot of
yeah,
us out there, but how I
yeah,
differentiate myself from the norm is after 1 or 2 years in the business, I realized again, real estate wasn't just taking people and showing them homes. Wow, real estate is so much more. It's finance, it's
everything.
investments, it's commercial, it's residential, it's ideal in one of the best communities in Boca, which is Royal Palm Yacht and Country Club.
Mhm.
And it took me years to get into this community and
Yeah,
dig my heels in the ground and be able to
yeah,
sustain against some of the other brokers that were in there. And by doing so, it wasn't just bringing buyers or getting listings. It was actually bringing investors in there, be able to buy land, buy old homes, knock them down, and build new homes with a team of the builder, the designer, and the architect, and be able to have new construction coming in and then selling that new construction. So it's not just about regular real estate. You have to know your inventory. You have to be able to do more than just show homes. You have to do everything. Everybody
yeah,
always asks me that $1 million question. What is it that you do that's different than everybody else? First of all, I come from nothing. Everybody thinks differently because they always assume you have a silver spoon in your mouth. But I have come from nothing, and I've been working since I was 11 years old, and I work hard. I spend money to make money. I do what a normal realtor would do. I do 100 times over. I spend about $50,000 to $60,000 a month marketing and planning and branding and being able to get new business, along with investment properties, commercial and residential, and postcard cards and branding and marketing and brochures. I mean, you have to do everything all the time. You can never let up, because if you do, there's always going to be somebody right behind you that's willing to take, to try and knock you down, unfortunately.
yeah, for sure.
So
I
you have
mean,
to constantly do that.
yeah, the minute you let up, and not only will someone knock you down, the market can knock you down. And if you're not prepared, uh, you know,
Everybody
good
and
night.
anybody anywhere last year, I love it. You had realtors that just started, you had realtors that have been in the business for 100 years, and
Right,
everybody could make money last year. And I'm laughing because last year was an anomaly. So I did
right.
300 million last year, and
Great.
which has put me at number 2 in Boca and number 12 in Florida, number 57 in the nation, which is wonderful. But that was last year. And this
Right.
year is probably one of the toughest years we've had, because you're coming down from such a high going to such a low, and there's been months and months without sales. So what do? Most people would find a new job or go, deal with what they have to deal with to get by. I actually spend more money and do more to be able to remind people, hey, we're here, and when you're ready, we're gonna be ready to go. So was it a terrible year? Absolutely not. Was it one of my better years? Nope. But you have to be able to sustain in the market when there's good times and bad times. And the last 6 months has tremendously been bad, but it's slowly picking up. And you just have to keep pouring more money, more time, more energy into the business so that you can be there ready when people are ready to go. Because the greatest thing about real estate is everybody needs a home. It's just
Right,
about when and how much and the
right.
timing, for sure.
Well, someone with your experience and obviously fantastic success, what advice would you give I mean, I always say HGTV lies to realtors, right? I mean, young realtors, I don't have to be young in age, just young in the business. They get their license, maybe they knew someone talked them into it. Hey, you'd be a great realtor. I always hear that, right? I mean, people say that to people all the time. Be a great realtor. Come work for me, of course. But what advice would you give that first year realtor coming out, or maybe first, second year, where maybe they've done a couple of deals, but they really haven't cut their teeth. They don't have a system, and they don't have leads coming in, and they don't get referrals. What is your advice?
I would tell you the first and most important thing to do is any realtor, whether you're a new realtor or a realtor is coming back to the business, or somebody's been in the business forever, because it's honestly, you have to do it every day. You have to find your market. You have to pick a market, and it doesn't need to be, hey, I'm going to go farm Boca. No, that's not, absolutely opposite what you should do. My first neighborhood was only 54 homes, 54
wow.
homes, Fieldbrook Estates. I went in and I sent a postcard every other week. I didn't knock on doors because that's not my style, but I sent emails and I would send text messages, and you have to find a way to find that, to get those, you know, never call somebody on a do not call list.
Right.
But once I finally got my first listing in there, that first listing opened up the door for multiple listings in there. And by doing so, you're basically always at the house, always marketing, branding, pushing that particular house. Nobody has to know that you're only listing, but then you take that listing, and once you sell that listing, you then send a postcard to everybody in that neighborhood again and say, hey, I just sold this. I'm your neighborhood specialist. My first postcard was a tiny 5x7 yellow postcard that says, I'm your neighborhood specialist. And guess what? By the time I was actually done with that community after the first 2 years, I had sold 10 homes, and I was that neighborhood specialist. And the only reason I left that neighborhood is because I felt at the time I had grown enough, learned enough to move to a bigger neighborhood and grow to, you know, the better neighborhood in Boca where I wanted to be, which is Royal Palm Yacht and Country Club. So
Right.
now I would say 80 to 85% of my business is in Royal Palm Yacht and Country Club. If I could tell any realtor who's starting out or coming back, know your inventory, not just in your one neighborhood, but in the surrounding neighborhoods. Because if somebody comes to you, let's say at an open house, or you're taking a buyer out and they don't like that house in Fieldbrook, what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to try and take them somewhere else. But if you don't know the 4 neighborhoods to the right and the 4 neighborhoods to the left and neighborhoods east and west of your community, how are you going to have enough knowledge to be able to tell that person that they know where to go? I can tell you the biggest mistake realtors make is not knowing their inventory. I'm a prime example. When I moved here 22 years ago, I was from Chicago. I didn't know anything about Florida. I didn't know anything about Boca, nothing.
Right.
I just knew that my mom lived here and I wanted to be close, but I had a brand new baby. I wanted to live in a community. If you don't know anything about the neighborhoods or what those neighborhoods entail or where this person belongs or what price range they need to be in or what they're looking for, how are you supposed to be educated enough to sell that person something? When I moved down here, I went through 5 realtors before I found somebody that actually knew what they were talking about. And
Wow.
I looked in Whitfield Country Club and I looked at every single home in Whitfield Country Club in my budget and realized that really wasn't for me. I wanted a community, but I didn't want a large community. Well,
Yeah.
sometimes people don't even know what they want. You have to help them. So farm your neighborhood and brand yourself, and then make sure you know your inventory. That are the 3 most important things I can tell anybody, because if you're not confident enough to tell this person that's moving from Boston or Chicago or New York
Right.
where they need to go, why would they want to work with you? They're going to go with somebody that knows what they're talking about. You got to know the schools, you got to know the malls, you got to know what places people are going to go eat. You have to know everything. And it's forever changing, and you have to learn as much as you can. And if you want to be a buyer's agent and not a seller's agent, you got to know even more. You got to know all the neighborhoods, because the worst thing you could do, and I'm telling you, the worst thing you can do as a realtor or a broker is put somebody where they don't belong, because the last thing you're going to do is hear from that person ever again. If you move somebody into, let's say, the Bridges last year, and it was one of the most expensive times to buy in the Bridges, and maybe they overpaid a little bit, they don't want to be there, they're going to have to sell their home. Well, if you didn't do right by that buyer, what is the last thing they're going to do? They're not going to call you. They're going to call the person that knows the neighborhood, knows the inventory, and they're going to want somebody that knows how to sell their house and move them to another house. So you have to know what you're talking about, not just here, but Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach. Now, you can't possibly know everything. If you want to specialize in one area and really be good at it, then you need to refer your business to somebody like who lives in Palm Beach or lives in Miami. Better to get 25% of something and send them to the right people in those neighborhoods than try and figure it out yourself, because you're never going to be able to know everything. I can tell you, I learned that in commodities, and it stuck with me in real estate, because there are 30 or 40 different commodities. And if you want to be able to trade the right way for yourself or your clients, you have to know that commodity, how it trades, how it moves, the analytics of it, the fundamentals of it. And it's the same thing with real estate. You have to know what they can afford, what they want, how much they want, and where they want to be. And sometimes people don't know, so you got to help them.
That's great advice. I love what you had to say there. I mean, so, and you said it at the beginning, so many realtors in the past year have done so well just because the market is what it is. And it was probably like that when you were a commodities broker. I know it was for me, you know, when the market was so bullish, you couldn't lose. It was like you were a genius. And I was on, you know, people would pick you up and carry you off the field every time you did something right. And then it was like, hey, man, how come I'm losing money? Oh, well, well, I don't pay you just to, you know, go with the market. Well, you're right. So, yeah, I mean,
a lot of people who come to me and ask me that question, and a lot of sellers now that can't sell their homes in one day, 1 week, or 1
right.
month are freaking out. And a lot of people that work on Signature One come to me and they say, what do I do? What do I do? I don't know what to do. My seller's freaking out. They're calling me. We're not getting any showings. We're not getting, well, you can't just put your house on the market and expect it to move. Every reason why people come to me, or at least I believe why people still come to me and why I believe I'm the best at what I do, is I'm constantly talking about my property, moving my property, maneuvering to get people into my property, branding my property, marketing my property. Let me tell you something. There were no homes for sale in Royal Palm in January to March. Then all of a sudden in the summer, we have 30 homes for sale in Royal Palm again. So you have tons of competition, and people need to know your house is more important or better than another house, or the right house for them. There's never going to be the perfect house or the better house. But I just went under contract on one of my listings in Royal Palm where there's 6 other houses that are almost identical to it. And I had a few realtors call me and go, well, what happened? How did that happen? Why did that happen? Well, I can tell you this much. I didn't just tell them about the house. These people were from Boston. They wanted to know about the neighborhood, about the community. They wanted to know about, you know, golf and tennis, and about, you know, what they could get for their house when they sell it, and what's going to happen in a year from now. So it's not just, like I said, real estate is not just about schlepping people around. It's knowing your market, knowing your inventory, knowing about finance, knowing about investments, and knowing what this property is going to be worth today and tomorrow. Because I guarantee you, I will never, ever, ever sell a property overpriced. I will never let my buyers buy something overpriced, because when they come back to sell that property, who are they going to call? They're going to call me, hopefully, and I'm going to want to sell that property. And if it's overpriced when I sell it to them, what's the chances of me selling it to somebody again at the right price?
Right.
And if I don't sell it to them at the right price, they're going to take a loss. They're certainly never going to refer me. People always say the real estate is a relationship business. Well, it's not just a relationship business. It's a relationship and an investment and a finance and a marketing and a business that you have to know everything. Because if you don't, in 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, 5 years, when they sell their house, they're going to need you to be that person again for them, and then sell them something else. So it's a relationship business, investment business, and a long-term business. You cannot, I love when people call me and they tell me they want to do real estate part-time. Oh my God, it's hysterical. There's no real estate part-time. It's not possible.
No, it's not possible, because if you do go into it with that, you're going to fail, or it's going to turn into full-time.
Yeah. And you have to go in with the onus that you have to work whenever somebody calls. In commodities, I used to think, oh my God, I work all the time. I was up trading all night. I would have to trade during the day. The only time off I had was Friday night at 5 o'clock to Sunday at 5 o'clock when the market's actually closed. So I had 1 day off. I wish I had 1 day off. Now, I don't get any time off.
A day you could count on every day like clockwork. Yeah, it just doesn't work like that. It's just part of your life, and you adapt to it. And that's the price you pay if you want to make
if you want to make money in this business, and you want to be the right person in this business. I'm usually at my office, whether it's my home office or my office, which is here on Palmetto Park Road, sometimes till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. And, you know, if you don't have that dedication, there's no excuses in real estate. There just is none. If you're not feeling well, luckily I have some people that work with me that can help me. Nothing is done alone completely. But I can assure you that even when I'm not feeling well, even when there's a party that I should have gone to, or a movie that I was in, or a dinner that I'm having,
Right.
Unfortunately, real estate waits for no one. And you're certainly not going to say, excuse me, I have to go get my hair done.
Yeah. Right.
I can't show you that $10 million house.
Right. My hair's more important than your $10 million purchase. Yeah.
I love it when realtors put things on locked boxes on $3 and $5 and $7 million houses, or they
That
don't
is
show up,
crazy.
or they cannot make it to sell their house. They're on vacation. Oh my Lord, if you work alone and you're on vacation, get somebody to fill in for you. If the seller only knew half the crap that we as realtors have to go through to get into a house sometimes because the broker or the realtor is not available to show it, we sometimes have to beg to get into houses. And it's so
That's crazy.
It's crazy, but it happens every day.
Yeah, it is crazy though. So let me ask you two quick questions, and I'm gonna give you a little time to talk about what's most important to you. But a couple of quick questions. One, how are people in, let's say, I'm going to use your own example of the recent closing you had, or the one you were talking about, the people in Boston. Marcy, how are they finding you? I mean, how do they know that you exist and you're the person, you're the authority in Royal Palms or wherever else in Boca?
So I spend on an average of 20,000 a month on Zillow. That's one of the things I do. And it seems to be one of the largest ways people find me. Or on my listings. They'll call me on a listing and they might love that listing, or they'll want to see something else. I brand myself everywhere. I am on Instagram, social media, Facebook. I'm on every possible place you can possibly be, whether it's online, in even good old fashioned newspaper, I still do. I'm constantly branding and marketing, and that's where that $50,000 to $60,000 a month comes in. Not only am I pushing my 10 to 12 listings, but I'm out there with myself. I'm branding postcards, brochures, and then I take that brochure and that postcard and I put it on social media. And it's it's constant. You can never stop branding yourself, because if you do, people are going to forget who you are. Trust me, it's an everyday occurrence. And the hardest thing to do, and trust me, I come from nothing. And when I came out of commodities, I was very, very, very broke. Went through a nasty divorce, was a single mom. And, trust me, my first paycheck, I literally needed that money more than you could possibly understand to just get caught up. But I didn't take that first paycheck and get caught up. I took that first paycheck, paid what I absolutely had to, and then took 80% of it and went back into marketing and branding. Right now, I'm getting a paycheck after 5 months. This is the first sale I've had in 5 months. And let me tell you something, that's the longest I've ever gone without a paycheck. Now I have savings and I have money saved, thank the Lord, but I'm taking that money and putting it right back into branding and marketing.
You have to. Yeah, you have to.
Forget you. Our attention spans are very, very, very small in this business. And if you don't market and brand, somebody else will. And that postcard or that branding somebody's going to see is going to be, well, I remember Marcy, she was amazing, but somebody keeps being right in front of my face. Maybe I'll call them too. So referrals, branding, marketing, constantly sending people birthday gifts or holiday things and reminding them, hey, I'm here. Because you can't just say, hey, do you want to buy something? You have to do, constant relationship, reminding people. We do a constant contact on a lot of marketing to remind people, hey, here we are.
Nice. I love hearing it. And after we're done with our show here, stick with me for a minute. I want to swap some stories with you real quick. I know you're busy for time and you probably got a million things to do, but give me a minute and I wanted to share something with you. But so we know how to get in touch with you because you're all over, all over social media, you're everywhere. And I'm going to make sure everybody knows how to get in touch with you. But what I like to always do, Marcy, is I love to give you the last minute or two, and we're kind of winding down to that time. And kind of just, tell us what you're thinking. Tell us what's on your heart, your soul, that you feel people need to know. It could be about your family. It could be about the holidays. It could be about homes. Most of the time, it's about
homes.
Yeah. But I don't want to stop anybody from saying what they feel, because I've heard a lot. I've done 260 shows, and I can tell you right now, I've heard some doozies. But you're the hit record, and I'm the DJ, so I'm going to let you take us out.
Gosh, I really don't know where to go except to say that, if you really want to make it in this business, there's just no excuses. You cannot have an excuse. If you're look, everybody has their tolerance level and everybody has their idea of what they want to do. I unfortunately, didn't have the greatest background growing up. And I learned that, in order to not be broke,
Right.
you have to constantly fend for yourself and do for yourself. Don't let anybody tell you can't do it. Don't let God, I cannot tell you how many times I've been told, no. Oh my God, no is not an answer. If you look at my biography, my bio and anything I say, the first thing I say is no is not an answer. It's just a no turns into a yes. If you take no for an answer, you do not belong in a sales business. You do not belong.
Sure.
Real estate might seem like not a sales business, but truthfully it is. You have to show confidence. You have to be able to sell yourself to somebody to prove to them that you're good enough to help them find a home. And I really believe that, if you want to be in this business, you have to be able to be well-rounded and show that you're there to help them, not just to make a commission. Commissions will come, money will come, but you have to show them that you care. And I do care. I really believe that these people, most of my clients, and I say most because not all, but most become personal friends, people that I reach out to, that we have dinner with, that will go to their birthday parties or when the children are born. And you have to be ready to be a person that they want to be around and really, really try hard for them, because you want them in your life and you want to be remembered. As far as personal, I have a 22-year-old son and a 21-year-old stepson. Luckily, my kids are grown and I have the time to be able to put into this. If you have young children in this business, I find it's very difficult to give the time that you need. Not saying that it's not possible, because anything is possible. And I have a realtor who had 5 kids that really found a way to make it happen. But it's something you have to know before you get into this business. You have to want to do it. You have to want to love it. And if you don't love real estate or investments or the niche that you find yourself, then find a different niche, because real estate is definitely a 24/7 job.
Great advice, Marcy. Marcy F. Javor, Signature One Luxury Estates, Boca Raton, Florida. Thank you so much for being on. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I look forward to catching up with you, 3, 6, 9 months down the road. Stay on with me here another minute, but we're going to sign off. Thank you and have a great week.